talked about adding and subtracting our functions. Do you have any notes here? Do you have a question? We talked about adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing functions. We evaluated a little bit, and we ended with the difference quotient. You should have started your Math Excel. I think you knew how to do 3 through 10 and 17 through 19 on there. We are now going to talk about composition. Some of this is on the back of that notes handout from yesterday, and then we may have to add a little bit in our notebooks after that week. So, hopefully, after we do a couple of these, it'll come back to you that you did a lot of this in Algebra 2. So, a composition can be written a couple different ways. You might remember hearing like fog and goth. It's when you have that F, it's a tiny circle that means the composed. So if you have F, that symbol is G. That means F composed with G. In other words, you can write it with parentheses. You could write it as F of G of X. It means you are going to evaluate from the inside out. So you're going to start with your X. You plug it in to G first, get that answer, and plug it into X. So this is just notation, meaning you are going to be doing a series of compositions. It's not just you're going to plug it in one time and be done. You're going to plug it in, get an answer, plug it in somewhere else. The domain part we're going to save and talk about tomorrow. So we'll just hold on to that for now. So let's look at this one. I believe that's the person I have on here. Okay. So I define my functions up here. When I write F composed with G of 1. Okay, the other way you might write that is F of G of 1. Okay. What is that telling me to do?
Sarah, you found the answer for G first and then
Exactly. Alright, start with a 1. If you plug that into G, so 4 times 1 is 4. So this G of 1, I evaluate just that part, and I get 4 for my answer. Then you are going to plug a 4 into your F. So if I put a 4 there, I have 2 times 4 squared minus 3. So 4 squared would be 16 times 2 is 32 minus 3 is 29. Just as a warning on tests and quizzes, these would not just be 1-point problems. So if you can show me, a little bit, show me that you got a 4 when you plugged it into the first one, you get points for those things along the way. So I know on Math Excel you can only write down one answer, but on a test or quiz you might want to show a little more work. Does order matter when you do a composition? Yes. So this one is saying we need to do G of F of 1. So this time you're going to start by plugging a 1 into F. So if I plug 1 into F, what do you get out? -1. Now you're going to put a -1 into G. So 4 times -1 gives us -4. Do you guys remember doing this? No? Do you understand how I'm getting these answers?
I just don't know what C do.
Okay.
I don't remember this.
This is the same thing, but I'm asking you to basically plug it into F twice. So you're going to start on the inside. You're going to do F of -2. So you go to F. If I plug a -2 in there, what do we get out? -2 squared is 4, times 2 is 8, minus 3 is 5. So this would be F of 5. Now, you're going to plug 5 back into F again. you could plug it in the same one multiple times. Last one, this means g of -1. So if you go to g and you plug in -1, what do you get out? -4. And then we have g of -4. So now if I put a -4 in, what do we get out? What questions do you guys have for me there? I would like for you guys to do the next slide. So why don't you guys try these four? Okay. So this first one means f of g of 4. So you work inside out. So first you evaluate g of 4. So if you go to g and plug in a 4, you get 49. So now you have to do f of 49. So you go to f and plug in 49, and you get 98. I open the window so you hear little kids. Alright, b. G of f of 2. So this one we start on the inside, so we're going to go to f first. You plug in a 2. So 2 times 2 gives you a 4. Now you're going to plug a 4 into g, and you get 49. Did you guys get those? Okay, c. So we have f of 1. So you start with f, plug in a 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. But we have to plug it into f again. So now if I put a 2 into f again, you get 2 times 2, which is 4. Last one, we have g of 0. So start with g of 0, put a 0 in there, you get 1. So g of 1, if you plug a 1 into g, and you get 4. Are we doing pretty well with this? Let's look at a couple more. Alright, so this first one, f composed with g of 5. That's f of g of 5. So start on the inside. G of 5. What do you get?
30. Whoa, 31 G.
Sorry. Here's f g. Okay, so when you did f g of 5, you get 30. Then what's f of 30? Do we have a question? When we did the g of 5, we went up here. So that's 5 squared plus 5. So that's where the 30 came in. Now we plug a 30 into f. So that's negative 120 plus 3. That gives us.
I was wondering why it's all I added.
That would make a difference. Alright, B, this is g of 6. So starting on the inside. G of 6, what does that give us? Okay. So if we plug a 6 into G, you get out 32. And now we have to plug it into G again. You guys have to help me out, I don't know 32 squared.
You get 42.
Yeah. I wrote.
I did get 42.
6 squared is 36 plus 6 is 42. Okay, and then when you plug that in, what'd you get? 1,806? So far, so good with these? What am I asking you to do on C?
The law and one
Yeah,
of
so
the
it's supposed to be one of H and then H, G, and G.
Just start on the inside. Very first thing you are going to do is H of 1. So I'm not changing the other two. So if you plug a 1 into H, 5 minus 1 gives us a 4. So that H of 1, I replace that whole thing with 4. Working your way out. So now we have G of 4. So if you plug a 4 into G, you get 20. So G of 4 got switched to 20. Now if you plug a 20 into F, you get -77.
Okay, you gotta cross the other side. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I write mine like that in the holidays.
Yeah, I do. I'm really inconsistent though. Some days I
I
do,
have to
some
write
days
that.
I usually do. Alright, last one. You guys walk me through it. First thing,
All right.
G of 0. So,
So 0.
0.
Oh, yeah, because they're both zero.
F of 3.
F of 0 gives you 3. And then H of 3 is...
Good answer.
Alright.
I read it.
Negative
We're ready.
17.
I read it backwards. I read it backwards.
No, you just wrote the same thing as the first one.
So, are we good if I give you actual numbers?
I like that. Look, I'll do it to H.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Wait, why?
Five is 3.
You got like letters.
Look at this one.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't have that.
We'd have to write it down.
Yeah, I didn't want to copy a whole other sheet, so now you have to get out your notebook to add the rest.
I'll just write it in.
There's not enough space to do this in the margins. Just get out a piece of paper. Okay, how is this different than the previous problem? Doesn't look any different. There's not a number. Okay, so this one I have the same, well, almost the same function. They're pretty close. I have an F, I have a G, and I have an H. Part A is asking me to find F composed of G of X. So that is F of G of X. You start on the inside. What is G of X? So since I didn't have a number, your G of X is just the function itself. So I just replaced it with my x squared plus 1. Now we have to evaluate. So yesterday we did some like f of x plus h, and I told you you have to plug it in. If I said f of 3 right now, you would go to your function f, and you would replace your x with a 3. When I say f of x squared plus 1, you are going to go to your function f, which is 3 minus something, and you are going to replace that x with x squared plus 1. Combine like terms so you can distribute your negative. So then you have a 3 and a negative 1, so you get 2 minus x squared. So if it's in terms of x, your final answer will still have an x in it. You're just plugging it in still, but it's not as pretty because you're not just getting a number out. What questions do you guys have right there? G composed with H of X. So that is asking for G of H of X. Start on the inside. What is H of X? Sorry, replace that with 2x minus 3.
What about that?
This one didn't have an F in it.
No, the X. Like, are you adding them together?
No, it's this whole thing. H of X itself is
Use
equal
one.
to the 2x minus 3. Okay, now we have to go to G, and we are changing our X to what? G is something squared plus 1. What are we plugging in? We're plugging in that 2x minus 3.
Wait,
What?
wouldn't it be 2x to the second,
Oh.
honestly?
Well, the square's on the outside right now. It's this whole thing. that's
No,
on the square.
but like because you have to do h to x.
Are you talking right here?
Well, yeah, because it goes h to x and
Right.
h to the second minus 3. Then you have to put it into x.
Okay. So right here, h of x itself. This is h of x, so I don't have to change it at all. I'm just putting exactly what it is. So that's the 2x minus 3. So then when I ask for g of that, you're going to go to g and replace that x with the 2x minus 3. Now, because it's squared, we have to simplify this. A square means you have 2 of them. So I am going to write it twice. And what are you going to have to do with that? FOIL. So you get 2x times 2x, so 4x squared, minus 6x minus 6x plus 9. We still have that plus 1 on the end. Is everybody with me? Combine like terms, so we get 4x squared minus a 12x plus 10. That's our final answer.
Do we have to factor since we can take a 2 out?
No, you can multiply it out, but you do not have to refactor.
Thank goodness.
Alright. Let's try C. H of f of x. What is f of x? 3 minus that. So now I am going to h. H is 2 times something minus 3, and you are plugging 3 minus x in there. So if we distribute, we get 6 minus 2x minus 3, which is to take a couple problems and we are going to do the composition in reverse. So I'm going to give you something like this. I want to find functions f and g such that f composed with g is equal to h. Okay, so what this means, f composed with g gave us this for an answer. Now I want you to find out what f and g were originally before I put them together. Now, if you look at this, g of x is the inside. What's inside over here?
X squared plus 1.
X squared plus 1. That's your g of x. Okay, think about when you do compositions. On this problem, when I did g of 5x plus 3, I went to g and I replaced x with 5x plus 3. So if you are working backwards, if you took out this 5x plus 3, what goes back in its place? Just a plain x. Okay, so to find f, I have to think, okay, when I plugged g in, it replaced my x. So if you took all this out and just changed it to an x, you would have x to the 50th power. That's f. You're done.
So you take out the middle and put it in the second part. You use the rest of it and put it in the first.
Exactly. The inside of the composition is your first function. Change it to an x and get that. Okay, let's try a few more. I'm saying f composed with g, so f of g of x is equal to h, which was 1 over x plus 4. So g of x is the inside. I don't have a parenthesis, so how do I know what the inside is here? Yeah, it's the denominator. If you plugged in a 5, what's the first thing you would do? 5 plus 1. So that's like your inside. So that's our g of x. Okay, since we are undoing our composition, if you take that out and just replace it with an x, what's my f? 1 over x. Why don't you guys try this one? So we had to work backwards here. So our functions have f composed with g, so that's f of g of x equals the 2x plus 3 to the 4th. So we had to find the original two functions. So if we look, g is the inside, so the inside over here is 2x plus 3. To find f, you're undoing your function, so that 2x plus 3, we just replace that with an x, and we have x to the 4th for the f. We get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're done for today.
Oh, swaggy.
So, your assignment on Classroom, there is a handout posted. That handout is due tomorrow. So, Classroom, there is a handout.
Wasn't there a kind of homework on that video?
Yes, that's the one we turned in yesterday.
No, not this one, but on.
There is a handout, or a Math Excel assignment that we started with this whole assignment. So, remember,
Which method was that?
yesterday we did Math Excel. after yesterday's lesson, you are ready to do problems 3 through 10 and 17 through 19. Today we are doing the handout on Classroom
Wait, those doing that.
from yesterday. Yeah. Today we have the handout, which is due tomorrow. Tomorrow